Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is early in the morning, and in this video we're going to drive the Boxster down to North Carolina to the tail of the dragon. So we've got quite a lot of driving ahead of us, at least 8 hours today, probably 4 or 5 tomorrow. And I thought we'd use this video as a method of showing you what it's like to own and drive a Porsche Boxster from 2001. You know, in the whole time I've owned this car, which is nearly a year now, I've only done 1,000 miles in it. We've been working on it. We have been putting things right with it. We're not there yet either. I've got suspension to do. But I thought we could use this journey to at least see what it's like to own and drive. So there'll be a lot of freeway miles today, and we'll talk about what it's like compared with the 911 and so on. And then tomorrow, we'll take it down the tail of the dragon and see how it handles and take it from there. So sit back, get a cup of something nice, a snack or something, and enjoy the video. Well, good morning. I hope you're all doing okay. We are stuck in traffic now on the Merritt Parkway going into New York. I hope you've been enjoying the coverage on the channel of late. Go under the tunnel with the 2 videos we did on values and depreciation. Bit serious, those videos, so hopefully in this one we'll have a bit of fun. So Porsche Boxster then, I must say I've been enjoying owning this car. I've not done very many miles in it, simply because I've been fixing it up over the summer and I've been using the MG whilst I've been doing that. But now is its first real test, its first real drive down to the tail of the dragon. We've got about 525 miles to cover today, all the way down to Salem, Virginia, and I'll show you on the map here exactly where we're going. And I thought we'd give you just an idea of what it's like to own one of these cars. They're 21 years old now, but I have to say they've been fairly easy to work on. If an idiot like me can do it, then I think most people can. The only complicated part from that aspect is really the fact that the engine is stuck in the middle here, and getting access to it is really hard. So we've got some work to do on that later in the year, as well as the suspension on this one. So, but there we are. But I thought where we'd start this video is that comparison that everybody makes about, should I buy a 911 or should I buy a Boxster? Now, the first thing to mention about that is that the two are not even slightly comparable. And were never intended to be, of course. Why would Porsche build 2 911s or 2 cars that were going to compete with each other? If you hark back to when this car came out, it was the time that, you know, the sort of renaissance of the 2-seater sports car. And actually, if you go before that, what came before that was the Mazda Miata MX-5, which started it all in '89, or you could argue that MG started it back in the 60s, but let's not go that far back. So this car really was designed to compete with the Mercedes SLK, the BMW Z3 or Z3, depending on where you come from. And I must say, I'd rather be in this all day and every day compared to one of those cars, and you just don't see them anymore. When was the last time you saw, an SLK or a Z3 back from the late 90s? You just don't see them, but you tend to see Boxsters quite a bit. Now, in terms of what it compares like to a 911 of the same age or similar age, I had, if you recall, the Silver Dream Machine, which was a 2003 911 Carrera. So really the exact car that you would choose, or you'd think you'd choose, if you didn't have a Boxster. You know, that would be the car you would compare it to. And again, totally different kind of car. First thing, the power. The 911, I wouldn't see which way that car went if I was in this car. It is that much faster. The power on this we'll get to later on in the video. But yeah, the 911's significantly faster. The 911's also quite a bit bigger. In this car, you feel as if it wraps around you. It feels, comparatively speaking, cramped. Now, it's just a different style of car. This is lovely too. I love the fact that it's a proper sports car. It feels like a 2-seater, which is what it is, a 2-seater sports car. and therefore the 911 feels like something different. And you could argue that the 911, at least in Carrera format, is a bit more of a GT car. And that's what I think it is. Going under a bridge again, noisy, there we are. But the size of it, inside of it, in the 911, of course the engine's in the back, you get these little rear seats which are useful and practical. However, the Boxster comes with a frunk and a trunk, or a boot, which I'm away for 5 days, 5 days, 6 nights, I think, something like that, 6 days and 5 nights. I've got all my stuff in the front and the rear of this car, no bother at all. And again, if you're comparing that to a Z3 or a Z4 or a SLK or even an Audi TT, you wouldn't have all that room that you have in this car. So that's the place I think we should start. It's just the more sort of intellectual view. Should I compare this with the 911? The handling as well, I should mention, very different. You know, engines in the back of a 911. You're into the corners slow and fast out. In this, it's a very much more balanced car, and we'll talk about that when we get to the tail of the dragon in a day or two's time. Well, you join us having left the hellscape of the George Washington Bridge into the hellscape of New Jersey and Newark Airport, which is where we are right now. So, just to expand on the interior of this car, it is just about big enough. The point that I want to make is that there is a wall here, just behind me, which prevents the seats from going too far back. So I'm 6 foot, and it is just big enough for me, I would say. I almost don't fit. The sport seats are fairly comfortable, although I suspect the standard seats that I had in this car before this might even be a little bit more comfortable. But just bear that in mind, if you're really tall, it's this wall behind me here, between the luggage compartment and the car, that prevents the seat from coming back, and therefore you can't recline it any further either. So if you're someone like me who likes to sit back like this, then it's really not going to be big enough. If you're much over 6 foot tall also, this car's probably not for you. You know, when I was putting together my last video, which was quite analytical and a bit serious, this comment popped up as I was preparing the next video, which was also equally serious, and I just thought it hit the nail on the head absolutely perfectly. And on a day like today, where the sun is shining, and you have the roof down, you have your music on, there are some things that just can't be defined by a spreadsheet, and that's where this car comes in. On a day like today, I'm absolutely loving it. I mean, look at it, it's glistening. That green is just stunning. And whilst most people see, you know, a 21-year-old car that probably looks a bit old in their eyes, I see a shiny sports car with a flat 6 engine and just beautiful. Anyway, just to step out of the analytical for a minute, you catch us in Wilmington, Delaware. Progress in the United States on the freeways is excellent most of the time. You can set your cruise control and just go. We've made excellent progress. We're about halfway through our journey now. So let's take a quick look at the interior of the car. The dash itself is pretty straightforward. It's different to the Porsche 911 of the time in that will also tell you how much your battery is charged and your oil pressure, so a bit more rudimentary. You do get a cruise control, which is this thing here, which is quite handy. Over here you get your air conditioning here, which is quite good air conditioning actually. You can lock the doors, put your heated rear window on, as I have in my soft top here. I've got glass in my soft top. This particular car has PSM, or the traction control, and then this is the electric roof, which I'll show you in a moment. There is a device on here on this stereo which I think is really going to catch on. You can put a cassette tape in there, which I think that's just bleeding edge stuff, I would think, isn't it? You could replace all this and put a double din in. Lots of people replace this and put this down below, take this out, then you've got space for a double din unit with whatever you want on here. Down here there is a pretty pointless sort of graphic equalizer thing which came on the Dot 1 cars. You can change it to sound as if you're in the Royal Albert Hall or something. I don't know, I don't bother using it, it's a load of rubbish really. A bit of storage in here, gear stick, handbrake, windows. There is a glove compartment which I've put a cup holder in, otherwise it's pretty pointless. There are no cup holders in this car. There is in fact no glove compartment here either. Those came I think on the Dot 2 cars, but there is a little bit of storage if I turn round in here. This is an optional extra on the car, so that's that. The putting of the roof down is very straightforward actually. If I look up here, you push this, which releases the hook there. The windows come down a tad and then you just push this button and that's it. Well, good morning, day 2, and you will notice that my skin is changing colour as we go through this video. This is the blessings of having ginger hair. What you'll find is that it might appear to be lobster right now, but it's on its way obviously to a deep and luxurious mahogany tan like your grandfather's furniture. So keep an eye out for that, it's happening people. But anyway, I wanted to really talk about power in this car. This car has the 2.7 litre engine, flat 6 of course. The earlier cars prior to my one, this is a 2001 by the way, came with the 2.5. So this puts out, I suppose, just a little over 200 horsepower. It's not a terribly heavy car, but it's not the lightest either. And I would describe the power as adequate. I wouldn't describe it any more than that. It goes back to what I was saying earlier on in the video about, is it comparable to a 911? And it's not designed to be comparable to a 911. And I mean that by design, it's not supposed to be. Porsche didn't want to compete with the 911, and they didn't. The 911 is unquestionably a faster and more powerful car. The power on this, it makes a lovely sound, I have to say. But it's not very noisy. When you're driving this around, you can barely hear the engine, even with the roof down. And I think it needs a sports exhaust, honestly, to make it a bit more interesting. The power, excuse me, takes a while to go up the rev range. It's fairly torquey, but not at 911 levels of torque. I suppose I would describe it as more smooth power than necessarily torquey. It's like chocolate, you know, the feel of the car, the way the power comes on. It revs up to 7,000 revs, and you enjoy every moment of it getting up there, frankly. But it's not a powerful car, not designed to be, but there is just enough power, I think, to make it fun. And I think that's what a Boxster is really supposed to be, is fun. And it certainly is. This is a really fun car with adequate amounts of power, and we're going to talk about grip soon. Grip, traction and handling. So I think we'll do that next when we get to the Tail of the Dragon with the boys. We're on our way now to the pad that we have booked through Airbnb. The Porsche boys are joining me. They're of course all in 911, so I'm going to be the guy at the back, maybe having the most amount of fun, but they'll probably all be a lot faster than me. What I should also say about the power is that there is an argument which says that the Porsche 911 Turbo S is the least fun car in the range, because by the time you've got it out of first gear, you're doing about 150 miles an hour. In this car, you've got to rev it to get the most out of it, and that's, I suppose, why it's fun. Do I wish it had a little bit more power? Yes, I do. I think the Boxster S might be the one to have. And I thought we'd do a little stint with the roof up just to see what it's like. And it's transformed the car actually. It's become a normal car with a roof, and I can hear myself pretty quiet in here actually. Of course I'm doing this as part of my skin routine, my tanning routine, just to give it that extra bit of brownness. But anyway, there we are, perfectly livable place with my new roof. It's a Sierra roof from Auto Tops Direct. It's got the headlining in it. Okay, you guys, we are on the tail of the Dragon, entering from the Knoxville end, going towards Deals Gap. I've got all my Porsche buddies in front of me in various 911s, and actually this is not my favourite road of this part of the world because there are too many idiots, and it's always the other guy, and you just got to be very vigilant. I get very stressful on this road. But let's talk about the Boxster. So what a companion this car has been so far, as Richie guns his 911. It's been comfortable, it's been compliant. The ride on this car is extremely good. Now I should preface that by saying that the suspension on this car is pretty shot. It's original suspension and it needs changing, and I've got all the stuff to do that. And if you subscribe to this channel, I'll show you how to do it. I'm going to change in fact, I'm going to refresh the shocks with fresh built signs. They're all sitting in my garage waiting to go. But having said that, for the journey that I've demanded of it so far, which has been to drive down here about 850 miles, it's been really compliant. Now the seats in this car, as I've said before, are the sports seats, which for the journey down weren't as good as the standard seats. My thighs, yeah, they were hurting a little bit by the time I got here. For this, however, for this drive, it is absolutely perfect because they are hugging me in, holding me in around these corners. This is such a great road, and holding me in nicely. Now, the handling on this car, let's talk about that. Even though the suspension is a bit shot, the balance of this car is what everybody talks about, and you can feel it. The centre of gravity is right in the middle of the car, the engine in the middle of the car too, so it's a very different experience. His exhaust to the 911 and to the 996. It's much more of a balanced experience. The car dances around you. My God, you do have to watch people on this road. And it just dances around you. It's a great car for this kind of thing. And because we're not going that fast, I have no trouble keeping up with well, there's in front of me right now, there is a 991 S, Carrera S, and a 992 GTS. And yeah, when we get it up the hill, I'm getting lagged behind, but other than that, they eventually slow down and I catch up. And they don't have their roofs down like I do, and they're probably not getting theirs out of first gear like I am, and I'm having an absolute blast. It is just such good fun. I'm going about, I suppose, 6/10, nothing more than that, nothing more than I can see in front of me. And I can see if I had to slam the brakes on, I know where I'm going to stop. So no blind corners at 10/10 or 8/10 or nothing like that. Just enjoying ourselves, that's all. For those of you that are not familiar with the Tail of the Dragon, actually, it's in North Carolina, just outside of a little place called Deals Gap. And it is 11 miles. But in those 11 miles, you have 318 turns. Yeah, I'm getting left behind a little bit now. And amidst wonderful scenery, you change elevation, hairpin turns all over the place. There is a dam, a river that you follow, and it is just a magnificent drive, but you have to keep your wits about you. My friend Richie in front of me in the 911 Carrera S 991 has got a Soul Performance exhaust on it. So if you can hear crackling and popping and it sounds like somebody's shooting their revolver at you, that is his car. But look at me in my 21-year-old car, just having the most amount of fun. I've spent $13,000 on this car to buy it, and it gets me entry into this this scene. The way the weight just shifts is just so fluid, and the steering weights up nicely to help guide you around that corner, and you just end up smiling from ear to ear, as I'm sure all my friends are in front of me. Yeah, I mean, I think if a 911 was really going flat out, I wouldn't see which way it went. I genuinely wouldn't. But we're not going all that fast, really. Christ. Bloody hell. So there isn't too much else to say about the handling, other than it's just composed. It is a good ride. You can fit, obviously, stiffer suspension on if you want to, but I don't think you need to. I mean, if I'm driving this perfectly well, with old suspension on it and enjoying it, you don't really need anything stiffer than this unless you're doing any circuit work. Now we're sliding into Deal's Gap, which is the end of the tail of the Dragon, and I think it's been a good way of really showing you that this car is plenty comfortable on the journey down, and then it can raise up its skirts and have some fun when we're on the tail of the Dragon, and you feel like a driving god, frankly, driving around here. It's just incredible, and this car really helps it do that too. I'm not actually sure why I made this video. These cars are such good value that you should just go out and buy one straight away. I've been hanging with 911s all day for the last 2 or 3 days, and they haven't been waiting for me. I've been keeping up. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please leave me a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. And now
The end is near,
And so I face
the final curtain.
My friend, I'll make it clear.
I'll state my case,
of which I'm certain.
I've lived a life that's full. I've traveled each and every highway.
And more, much more.